All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 2 of SSW Online Live. I am SSW owner RJ Daniels, and I actually have a webcam working this time. And I am joined this time by Ryan Young and
Hello.
Devin Diamond.
Hey.
How you doing, Ryan?
I am great. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great.
I'm okay.
All right. Well, we want to first off thank everybody for checking out our first episode of SSW Online Live. I know it was kind of our beta test of our very first episode, and I think that other than the video quality being a little bit choppy, I think it was a good show. And I want to thank everybody for watching it after the fact on YouTube. Sorry about running a little bit late here tonight, but technical stuff, and we are ready to go. And as we had announced online, we are going to be covering the epic feud that took place between the current SSW champion, Vic Capri, and then Justice Jones, his challenger at the time. Now, this took place back in 2013 through 2014, technically our 10th and 11th seasons. And before we get into any of that, we're going to take a look back to our season 14 premiere, which took place back on September 4th. And before we get into any of that, I just wanted to get an overall opinion from both you guys on what did you guys think of that show. And we'll start with Ryan.
I loved it. I think it was a great way to kick off the season premiere. It was from beginning to end. I thought it was a solid card, and I definitely enjoyed it.
Awesome. And how about you, Devin?
Oh, definitely. It was great. I mean, well, besides the fact that I got my hands on Matt Dewar, I love that part. But definitely.
I know that feeling.
It was a good show. I thought the surprise title match was very interesting, and especially seeing the dawn of a new championship, that was also very interesting as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a photo gallery real quick of the photographs of what took place at the event and just kind of give a brief overview and give the results from the show. So I'm going to bring up that right now. All right. Well, when we started the show, of course, it was the kickoff to our 14th season, and I do need to thank you again, Ryan, for filling in for Mr. Riccolo. He was under the weather and was unable to ring announce for the show. Ryan Young stepped up to the plate and did some ring announcing, and the show opened with Vic Capri being invited to the ring and introduced as the new SSW champion. Of course, he had won back the championship back in May. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Tried to do two things at one time here. But anyways, given that took place, Vic was without a number one contender, and as we had announced ahead of time, he was going to be having an open challenge for that very title. Well, as you guys saw, he had a challenger, and that was the returning Justice Jones. Justice Jones originally was the SSW champion and had taken it, or excuse me, Vic Capri was originally SSW champion back in 2013, and Justice Jones ended up pursuing him for that championship and actually took it from him, leading up to him eventually being having an epic feud between the two. Well, that was as we're going to see later in the show, it was a very long time coming because that feud kind of never got fully resolved. It's a long story we'll get into later, but ultimately Justice Jones came back after 2 years and essentially begged for that championship match. Vic Capri agreed and actually shook his hand, but unfortunately, in traditional Justice Jones fashion,
the most epic of hugs.
Yes, and was unfortunately suckered in one last time, and I know that did not sit well with Vic Capri, what took place. So after that, we had our first match of the night, and that was Mikey Wild taking on none other than Kenosha's very own Jason Parks in a Lords of the Ring qualifier match. And I'll let one of you guys narrate this one.
Go ahead, Devin.
All right. Well, here we see JP as photogenic as always. But no, Mikey Wild making his debut here in SSW in the tournament, and definitely it was good to see JP back as well. He hadn't wrestled with us in a long time. And very hard hitting back and forth. I know that JP ended up having a severely sprained ankle after this match. But look at that Hulk Hogan-esque leg drop.
You almost had Marche Rocket height on that.
Almost. Yeah, that definitely, it was very back and forth, but in the end, it ended up with JP getting the win and advancing the tournament, and Mikey Wild was not too happy about that.
No, oh boy.
Yeah,
Nope.
and unfortunately, after the match, the remnants of the Refinement Club, which I so graciously allowed to, come back for their quote-unquote farewell, this is how they chose to take that opportunity. But as to be expected, the unexpected, you know what I mean? So what I ended up doing is I had a backup plan, and I came out and took the opportunity to basically tell the three of them, Matt Dwyer, Marcelo Spade, and Shane Fury, that they had to fight each other for one contract to remain in SSW. And you know what? I know some of you could say that that might be a little vindictive on my part, but you know what? They literally put SSW through hell last year, and I think it was only fitting. I mean, there was a lot of talent over there in the Refinement Club, and I hate to see them go, but when you conduct yourselves like that, this is how it goes. But I wanted to give one of them a chance, and they took it. And I guess I would say they took the bait, because I think it's pretty much safe to say after this match and Marcelo Spade winning the contract, I think effectively the Refinement Club is 100% done here in SSW. And of course, your buddy Matt Dwyer was not very happy about that, nor was Shane Fury.
That's the thing, that's the problem with the Refinement Club, is that, say what you would about my methods, but when you have rage that isn't directed, it is just chaos. That's the problem with the Refinement Club. They had no direction. They just wanted to destroy everything. That's not the way to do things.
Yeah, and when Matt Dwyer refused to leave the ring after the match, I went out there and basically he kind of whined and complained about he deserved a contract and blah, blah, blah. And I basically said, fine, I'll give you a second shot. I said, if you want a contract with SSW, you have to earn it. And I put him in a match later in the show against the man he turned his back on, Paulie Tomaselli, and basically said, hey, you beat Paulie Tomaselli, you're good enough to come back. And I also threw him a bone and said, hey, we'll even put the Midwest Heritage title on the line as well, which I did not have to do. So
no, it was a smart move, because Matt Dwyer wouldn't have taken the bait if he didn't have he's such a whiner that if he didn't have ample means to get back in that ring with Paulie, he wasn't going to do it. He'd snake his way back on the show in another way.
And I'm not going to say it was undeserving, but we don't normally hand things out in SSW, and as that was, he was lucky to even get a second chance. But moving on, we had Backwoods Brown taking on none other than Impact Wrestling's Marche Rocket in another Lords of the Ring qualifier match.
This guy's a little bit bigger than Mandrews.
He's about 4 Mandrews.
So, and I do want to point out too that this match was put together in the spirit of competition. I know that both Marche and Backwoods, they are friendly competitors with each other, but regardless of any friendship that they may have, I would not want to be in the ring with Backwoods Brown. That is for sure. And as to be expected, a tough, hard-fought match.
Look at the amount of strength that Power Slam took.
Oof.
And in the end, Marche Rocket was victorious and advanced to the 2016 Lords of the Ring tournament.
The spirit of competition.
And unfortunately, the RJ Daniels made his way back to the ring again, but this time I had a surprise for Marche, and then that was to present him as our 2016 inductee into the SSW Hall of Honor, which was an honor in and of itself to be able to present that to him and have him on board for with SSW for the past decade. Nothing but an honor, and he was very happy to get it. Very happy to get it.
Congratulations, Marche Rocket.
Yes, congratulations, Marche Rocket, for touching the soul of SSW.
Perfectly done.
All right, and our next match after that was the Lightning Division Championship match between Colin Cambridge
and Rowdy Piper. Oh, wait.
DDS. And both of them were challenging the champion William Jacobs in a triple threat match, of course, for the SSW Lightning Division title.
Ooh.
Of course, it was as they all seem to be, a hard-fought match between these three competitors. But I do want to put a special focus on DDS. I mean, he came into this match and he really showed that he may have floundered for a little bit recently, but he was definitely on board for getting that gold here in SSW.
Yeah, well, sometimes you have to jog before you start to sprint.
Absolutely.
Not that I know anything about that, but
I'm glad you went there.
shut up, you. Yeah, Mr. Riccolo was out ill, but because you're commentating, we're all out ill now.
Yeah, nice. But anyways, the match, between the three of them, it was action-packed. Came to a close, unfortunately, when William Jacobs tried to let's just put it this way, underhanded tactics. That's what we call it. And he tried to throw some sort of substance in the face of DDS, missed his mark, hit Colin Cambridge. DDS
glass.
Yeah, DDS was able to capitalize on the moment, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he pinned Colin Cambridge to win the Lightning Division Championship. Unfortunately, William Jacobs was not willing to hand over the belt, and your winner, DDS. But it didn't matter because I was going to change the belt anyway, as I felt that the Lightning Division had run its course in SSW and it was time to make a change. And how fitting that we would create a new championship in SSW, and that of the Triple Threat Championship, because DDS had just beaten two other competitors in none other than a triple threat match. So it couldn't have been more fitting at all. So, and there he is, DDS, your new SSW Triple Threat Championship.
And first ever triple threat champion.
That is correct. And I do want to move back on this real quick. I do want to specify, too, that the Triple Threat Championship is primarily going to be exactly what it is, but we are reserving the right to possibly do other elements of threes with that title. For instance, something that might be like a double triple threat match between 6 people, or possibly a 2 out of 3 falls match between 2 people. But primarily the Triple Threat Championship will be the Triple Threat Championship in its namesake. But just wanted to throw that out there because you never know what's going to happen in SSW.
This is true.
All right, and up next was your favorite competitor, Devin, Matt Dwyer. So I'm going to let you do commentary on this one.
Mom, I don't want to wrestle.
What? Nobody's cheering? And of course, taking on the Midwest Heritage Champion, Paulie Thomas.
Wait. Can you go back to that with him with his hand to his ear, like Hulk Hogan?
Oh, that's good.
I didn't do it. Of course,
had to.
And the opposite would be true for Paulie Tomaselli. Definitely a fan favorite.
Definitely.
Like there would be.
There we go. Hold on. I missed my cue.
But anyways, again, I don't want Matt Dwyer to be able to make any excuses that this was the second time he wrestled. But, that is not I don't envy Matt Dwyer for that shot right there, because anybody that can land a shot like that on Paulie Tomaselli deserves respect. But I definitely do not want what was coming back his way after that.
No,
that is for
definitely
sure.
not. See, that's the thing, is that these two guys know each other better than probably a lot of people in SSW, considering we're all a team together. And, they know their strengths, they know their weaknesses, but, ouch. Definitely hard-hitting action. I did not envy either one of these guys.
Yeah, again, both of them pretty well, and for better or for worse, it's for what you put SSW through in the process. But anyways, Paulie Tomaselli retaining that title, the Midwest Heritage Championship, and again, Dwyer not taking a loss very well.
Can I get a copy of that picture? I don't want... No, not that one.
That one?
No,
I like that one. That would be my new wallpaper.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Okay. I won't ask why. But anyways, unfortunately, he took the opportunity to put his hands on me because he wasn't getting what he wanted. And Mr. Devin Diamond
complete with butt
appeared in the ring and for some reason came to my aid, which never was really fully explained to me at this point.
Well, that's the thing is I saw what was going down, and it's just there's unresolved business between me and Matt Dewar. And as you see, I was setting him up for my finishing move, the old Devin Diamond drop, and he decided to rake my eyes to get out of it, which is smart. I give him credit there. And the thing is that Matt Dewar has the potential to be, he's good, but he could be great. And he just refuses to harness that potential, and he's directing it in the wrong way. Now, it doesn't help the fact that he hit me in the back with a chair, and him and his little cronies in the Refinement Club decided to beat the crap out of me and Paulie. So I'm a little bit pissed about that. But I think the best way to teach him a lesson is to get in that ring and show him not a wrestling match, but a fight. That's the thing he needs. He needs a nice, thorough ass kicking.
Yeah, and I definitely will say that I wasn't disappointed to see you in the ring after that all took place and actually challenging him, demanding that fight with him, which, of course, I'm going to grant. And I guess we're going to see you in the ring one-on-one with Matt Dewar in a fight at our next show on October 30th. And also another image I didn't expect to see anytime in the anytime, I guess, would be you and me hopefully settling our differences.
Like I said, I'm trying to turn over a new leaf here in SSW. So hopefully, I don't expect trust to be given. I expect it to be earned.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely, and like I've said before, there is forgive and forget, and I will definitely do my best to forgive, but it's hard to forget everything, Devin, and you got a long way to go before you're gonna. Even the fans, I know that a lot of people hold a lot of the stuff that you pulled over the years against you, but we'll do our best to forgive and forget and see where things go from here. And I'm going to wish you luck in your match with Devin Diamond at the next show.
With Matt Dewar.
Yes, Devin Diamond in your match with Matt Dewar. So,
I'm wrestling myself.
I'm trying to get the next part of the show going. You're throwing me off.
The match of me versus Devin Diamond will be me trying to get in my singlet backstage at the show. So.
All right. Well, of course, as everybody knows, there's something that is missing from those that photo gallery you just showed, and of course, that was the main event. That was between Vic Capri and Justice Jones. Well, the reason that we left that out is because we are going to show you that entire match at the end of this broadcast. But as we advertised, we need to show you what led up to that beforehand. And I'm not just talking about what took place at the show on September 4th. We need to go all the way back to 2013 to where this whole thing between Vic and Justice began, because I dare I say was probably one of the biggest feuds that we ever had in the history of SSW. I mean, there's been a lot, but I think Vic and Justice, if not the top, very near the top in what can only be considered an epic feud here in SSW. What do you think, Devin?
I think any feud that culminates around the SSW championship is definitely important. There's been several champions, several people who've held the belt many times, but whenever two guys get in the ring for that belt, it's always a war. Well, two or more guys, I should say.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and Justice and Vic Capri are definitely two of the more hard-hitting people in SSW too. So, I think they felt it the next morning.
Probably every time too. And how about you, Ryan? I know we kind of had you spectating a little bit here, but I know that. What were your thoughts on the feud between Vic and Justice over 2 years ago and then some?
I think it's been great. Vic Capri's been in wrestling for, I'd say, probably over 15 years. I'm not sure how long Justice Jones has been wrestling, but it just seems like he was trying to make a point. You'd go after the veteran, and he's also took the title away from him. And I think I definitely enjoyed that very much over this since 2013. And I, for one, was shocked to see Justice Jones come back on September 4th. That was the last person I thought I'd see walk through that curtain.
Yeah, and I got to say that, you're not the first person to say that. And I know that Justice, had a long history with SSW and what he put everybody through and things like that. The only one thing that I will give him credit for, not only one thing, but he did have a fair point was, when he finally lost the SSW championship, he never got his rematch. And he did come to me when the open challenge was announced, and he said, "Hey, I'm taking Vic up on the open challenge. And I said, well, all right, we'll see what happens. And, he did deserve a rematch, as does any champion. But, again, like I said, forgive and forget. It's going to be still one of those things that it's going to be hard-pressed to forget everything. But without further ado, we are going to get into that very feud right now. So what we're going to do is we are going to take a look back. And it was on March 17th of 2013. It was at Headlock and Hunger 8. And this was essentially where everything between Vic and Justice started. The kickoff to the entire feud was on that day, essentially at this moment here, which I'm going to start playing in just a second. Here we go. And again, this was from Headlock on Hunger 8. And here we go. And I clicked the wrong button. There we go. Now this was the rematch for the SSW Championship between Marche Rocket and Vic Capri. Marche Rocket, then the champion, and he actually had defeated Vic Capri back in January, and Vic Capri had, let's put it this way. This was a little bit more of a devious Vic Capri at the time, and he had done a little bit of legal wrangling to get a rematch because he felt that his loss to Marche Rocket wasn't official because it was after I restarted the match after they wrestled to a time limit draw. So he wanted that loss expunged from his record and wanted the rematch, which I unfortunately had to grant at that point in time.
Well, yeah, see, this was Vic at the time trying to make a name for himself. He had just come out of retirement, and he was trying to reclaim his old past glory. And I think he was a little concerned that he wasn't the same Vic Capri that he once was.
Yeah, maybe a bit overzealous, but when you get put on the shelf for a while, like Vic Capri was, I mean, I can totally understand how he would come in, and basically be willing to do whatever it took to get back to where he used to be. So I don't fault him for that, but it is what it is. So, but anyways, in the process of this match, I know you're probably wondering how this relates to Vic and Justice Jones. Well, this was during this match, Justice Jones would actually make his presence known when, to everybody's surprise, he came out to the ring and threw the belt in, as you saw there, to Vic Capri. The referee had unfortunately just been knocked to ringside, and Justice tosses the belt to Vic Capri, and as you can see, wants him to use it to put Marche down for the count, and see what happens here. And now that goes to show you Marche definitely knows what he's doing. I mean, he had plenty of time to recuperate there, maybe playing a little bit of possum.
Yeah, I think Vic might have taken a little bit of that M80 on the belt as well. Ooh.
Yeah, Vic got his arm on the rope. Of course, now Justice Jones playing distraction on the ref, who seems to be half out of it at the time.
Ooh.
Oh, boy.
Jack the jaw with the belt.
And to the back of the head.
Yeah,
oh.
His ice crusher on the championship. And unfortunately, Marche Rocket was dethroned of the SSW Championship in that moment.
Yeah, and Vic Capri's first SSW Heavyweight Championship win.
Yep.
New SSW champion, the Icepick, Vic Capri.
And I do have to say that I'm sure, looking back on it, Vic probably would be happy had things not panned out that way. But like we were talking about before, he definitely, was definitely out to get the W any way that he possibly could, and he was made officially the SSW champion for the very first time.
Yeah, see, that's one thing that I know personally is when you're put on that shelf, and you still want to go, you get very antsy. very rabid. Very pissed.
Whose hand is it now, huh? It's on mine. I told you last time, he can't beat me. I proved it last time, and I just proved it now. You can shut the hell up. I don't care whatever you think. The truth is, I am the champ. Vic. It's true, you're the champ, right? You're the champ, yeah. Hey, but Vic, if it wasn't for me and the large sum of money that you paid me to do what I did, you wouldn't be the champion, Vic. You would have got a haircut. Hey, wait, remember you told me, we talked about it in the back, you told me that if I do what I did, you'd give me the first shot. So right now, hey, you're man of your word. I'm the first person that gets a shot at the new champ. What do you think, Vic? Huh? Yeah? Think about it, kid. Don't think about it. Think about it. You promised me, Vic. Don't call me kid. I'm taller than you. I don't care if you're taller than me. I got 20 years on you. You're 20 years on me. Yeah, you're an old man. Yeah, right, yeah. And I just kicked his ass. I'll kick yours too.
Them's fighting words.
You're going to have to come get it. Yeah, I'll get it right now. Right now. You can do it right now. Take it out, man. I'll do it right now. Hey, where's the rock? Is that the red blue stripe? You killed him. He wants to do it. I want to do it. No, he doesn't have the red stripe. Yeah, but he just has to get him off. He's got a referee.
I would like to point out earlier, before this took place, Paulie Tomaselli made his debut in SSW and pretty much made it a point that he was going straight to the top.
You can't beat me anywhere we go. Who do you think you are coming out here demanding the next shot? What have you done tonight? I don't care what he promised you. What have you done? I beat him. I WWE superstar. Oh, yeah, you cheated. Yeah, you cheated. Did you not cheat or what? Cheater. You cheater or what, baby? Any cheaters never win. Now you. I thought much better of you before. Look at you. 100 years old. Looking like you're 23, still 5'3". You finally beat the kid you couldn't beat. Good. Yeah. You know what? Next time we're here, May 26th, I want the next shot. I was very dominant tonight. You want the next shot? No, I've already got the next shot. He's already won. Come back over. You already promised me the next shot, Vic. I'm going to tell you, everyone trusts anything I say. You're Italian. That doesn't matter. You promised me the next shot. He doesn't matter. Don't say Paulie. It's just a joke. Don't say Paulie. You people shut up. I don't care what I say. You shut up.
Oh.
Yeah, as to be expected. 4 guys in the ring.
Yep.
They're going to clash.
Never ends well.
Oh.
The interesting thing is, at this point in time, it almost looks like, alliances were being formed.
People around here are starting to forget who runs this company.
Oh, wait. That was back when Devin Diamond was in charge.
We got people pulling stuff out of their butt. Not literally. I'm the boss. Devin Diamond. RJ Davis put me in charge, and you know what? Since we got people paying people off, buying title shots, I'll tell you what we're going to do. SSW's 10th anniversary is coming up. May 26th. And you know what? There's nothing that would please me more for you fans than to make a 4-way match for that title. It will be the 2 men who qualified for the 2013 Lords of the Ring tournament: Paulie Tomaselli, Justice Jones. Marche Rocket getting his rematch for the SSW Championship. The champ didn't authorize. And Vic Capri defending. I guess I made it. There's no contract stipulation there. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yep. Saw that coming a mile away, huh?
Long.
Shades of the future right there with Paulie holding the belt.
SSW history with these 4 best in the Midwest wrestlers.
Booyah! And there it is.
That'll loosen some teeth.
Yeah, definitely. So anyways, that was basically the first encounter that took place between all of them, and I think that Vic was playing some games backstage that in the long run where it's going to come back to haunt him many times over when he fell in league with Justice Jones, and looks like he wasn't willing to play along with whatever they had agreed to. And as you had announced there, came to a head at our 10th anniversary show. It was called Ascension, and it was a 4-way contest between those 4 for the SSW Championship. And it was a very long match. It was a great match. It's a match that had been already posted to our YouTube channel, which can be found if you want to go to our channel and look for it. So we're just going to show you a quick recap of that very match.
See, that's the thing, is when you make a deal with the devil, eventually he's going to collect.
Yes, and I do have to say, at the point in time, this was probably the biggest SSW Championship match we had in our history to that point.
Without a doubt.
Definitely hard hitting, and everybody fighting with everything they had to be able to try and take home that SSW Championship.
Oh, without a doubt.
I think the building shook on that one. And Vic Capri stealing the victory and retaining the belt. Again, probably not another moment he's very proud of, looking back, but took home the SSW Championship one more time, and when you do that, that's the goal, right?
That is correct.
So after that, we came back, and it was our 11th season kickoff. The show was actually called A New Day, which we had first.
Boy, we've got the Ascension, and we've got A New Day here.
Yeah, I'm not going to put too fine a point on it, but we did use those names first, and I see Ryan there nodding his head like I'm making it up.
No, I believe you. You should try to sue Vince McMahon for copyright or something.
Yeah. It was, well, I'm not gonna even go down that route, but anyways, so we came back for our 11th season, and that essentially was the ultimate rise of Justice Jones, because he ended up taking on Marche Rocket for #1 contendership to the SSW Championship. At that point in time, Paulie Tomaselli was granted the championship because of the two, he was the only one that hadn't had a solo shot at that point in time, and Marche and Justice were a fitting pair since Justice had essentially cost Vic Capri the championship, and I felt that if they both deserve a championship match, they needed to fight for it.
No greater way to win that title shot than to win it with pinning the opponent's shoulders on the mat.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, see, technically, that 4-way match that they had, I know everybody's rematches and #1 contenderships and everything were resolved at that point in time, and that's how Paulie Tomaselli was put into the title match with Vic Capri later that night. He technically was the last man in the ring when Vic Capri pinned him, So I felt that put him kind of slightly above Marche and Justice at that point in time, and that's why I granted him the title shot. So I felt it would be a big test between Marche and Justice. And I do want to point out that Marche Rocket had just hit his signature maneuver, the M80 on Justice. Justice luckily was knocked out of the ring.
Yeah, it looked like his momentum just kept him going.
Yep, and I think that's probably the only thing that saved him at that point in time, because if he had not had those few extra moments to recoup, I definitely do not think that he would have kicked out of that.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. Just a nice example of how the stars align properly, Yeah,
right place, right time, right place, right time sometimes,
The spike powerbomb.
And probably one of the most unexpected things to happen in SSW in a long time, Marche Rocket defeated in a #1 contendership match for the SSW Championship.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you look at it, it's hard to see, but it looked like the back of Marche's head bounced off the middle of the ring and just takes a fraction of a second to just knock you out. Next thing you know, 3 seconds later, you're the loser.
Yep. Definitely, Justice Jones, a little worse for wear after the match, but basically, Justice Jones had a fire in his belly to get recognized and get noticed, and you couldn't take that away from him.
Nope.
Oh my! Justice Jones!
And after that match, our backstage crew caught up with Justice as he was doing a little research on his future opponent, and that of Vic Capri.
That's interesting. Right there. Did you know that way back when Mr. Vic Capri had some neck issues? I didn't know that. I do now.
In case you're wondering, Justice Jones was looking at our first issue of the SSW magazine that had a expose, I guess if you want to call it, on Vic Capri and his history prior to winning the SSW championship. And of course, it was revealed that, the reason he was put on the shelf for a while was due to, nagging, problems that he had with his neck and that, and put him on the shelf for quite some time. So,
yeah, that's not something you mess around with. That's for sure.
But what we're seeing now is Paulie Tomaselli in that match we were talking about earlier, challenging Vic Capri for the SSW Championship in the main event of A New Day.
That's a nice standing shooting star, that's for sure.
So who were you rooting for in this match, Ryan?
I believe I was rooting for Paulie Tomaselli.
And I think kind of everybody was at this point in time.
Yeah, that was a bad side of Vic Capri back then.
Well, if there's anything that I think that has been consistent, it may or may not be whether or not the fans, were on his side or not. But his, I'll just use the term ruthless aggression, was definitely always there. Now, Justice Jones trying to get involved in this match, probably in some way, shape, or form, trying to assure that Vic Capri retained the title, because he wanted to get his hands on him, clearly.
Yeah, protecting his investment.
Of course, just that momentary lapse on behalf of Justice Jones cost Paulie Tomaselli that match.
Yeah.
Of course, after the match, the two of them decide to take advantage of Paulie Tomaselli and just lay into him after the match. I guess it should not be expected, although you could consider it to be kind of surprising, considering that Justice Jones is basically standing in the ring with his soon-to-be opponent, given that he was #1 contender.
Yep.
We are going into a tag team match right now. Marche and Paulie versus the #1 contender, Justice Jones.
and the SSW champion. You did, but you know what? Your partner in crime there decided to change my mind.
So, of course, Commissioner Devin Diamond at the time set this up for a tag team match. Oddly enough, teaming the champion and his number one contender, or I guess the challenger, on the same team. Unusual as that may be.
Well, it's trying to give them their just desserts at the time.
So I don't suppose it would be rude of me to ask if there was any nefarious reason at that point in time for you making this match, putting Justice alongside Vic Capri, was there?
I had just started to get to know Justice Jones a little bit before that. We had some conversations, and I have to admit at this time I liked the way he thought. But I think, putting him and Vic Capri together in the tag team match, I think kind of wanted to see what Justice was going to do. More so,
stirring the pot a little bit.
Yeah, see how he was going to approach this, because I kind of want to know what I had on my hands, because he was still relatively new to SSW at the time as well.
Yeah, and for the record too, main reason I put you in charge of SSW as commissioner at this point in time was just because, primarily I wanted to be hands off and independent, and wanted, someone to be out there to take the reins so that I didn't have a conflict of interest. And at that point in time, you seemed like the best man for the job, and I do commend you for most of the job.
So
I'm picking on you eventually.
No, it's okay. It's deserved because, like I said, you and I have always had a different viewpoint on how SSW should be run, but that's where the Refinement Club and I disagreed, and hence they attacked me. Is there has to be order. You can't have chaos, and they just represented chaos.
Yeah, anarchy is basically synonymous with chaos in a lot of ways.
That's correct.
So basically, what you're saying is when you and you and your cohorts were running roughshod over SSW, you guys had a plan, and the Refinement Club later on was just chaos. In other words,
there was always a plan. Wow, someone's squeaky.
Oil up that chair, Ryan. Jeez.
I'm sorry.
I hope that was the chair.
But anyways, getting back to the match at hand here, it is interesting to see, Vic Capri, the champion, and his number one contender, and Justice Jones, really seeming to be on the same page at this point in time in this match. Almost a good team.
You can never say never. Well, I guess you can, but you never know what the future will hold had things turned out different. Now, obviously we know how this turned out, which all these fans are now learning. But I mean, it's you put explosive elements into a pot, you never know what it's going to make.
Well, it's usually a safe bet. It's not going to end well.
Generally not. That's the question.
And I have to go into the assumption at this point in time in the match, this is exactly what Marche was waiting for. He hadn't had a chance to get his hands on Vic Capri, really, just one-on-one. And it didn't last very long.
Not at all.
And that definitely didn't bode well for the friendly, nature of Paulie and Marche at that point.
Not at all.
And the unexpected moment of the night, Justice Jones using the SSW Championship and costing himself the match.
Wow.
Safe to say, feud started.
Definitely.
Yeah. Just laid him out cold with it.
So is it safe to assume that that was or was not surprising to you, Devin?
I have to say I was a little surprised at how drastic of a measure he took, but I wasn't surprised that he did something. And at that point, being my old nature of doing anything to win and doing whatever it takes, I knew that I had my new prospect in SSW.
Yeah, if there's one thing that could be said about Vic Capri was his the ruthless aggression sort of thing, but I think Justice Jones just upped the ante a little bit. And just a little teaser towards the future. I know Marche Rocket and Paulie Tomaselli have a long history between the two, and in a future episode we'll get into that. But right now we're going to stay on focus here with Vic and Justice, and what we can pretty much say is solidly where this feud officially hit full stride.
That's right. The seeds were planted, and it was time to go nuclear.
I have two. One time too many, Vic. This belt is mine. Get up, Vic. Oh, get up, Vic. You and your neck injuries, Vic. You and your neck injuries. I'm going to end it.
That title makes you do some crazy things.
Yes.
I'm surprised it's not dented.
And be perfectly honest, at that point in time, I stood there and I felt the future of SSW on the line with what Justice was doing. So I think, Devin, your thought process there with Justice Jones might have been completely underestimated how far he was willing to go when he was willing to do that to Vic Capri.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is when you have a pit bull, you got to keep him on a chain. And at that point, he was not chained.
And after the show, again, our backstage camera crew caught up with him, and he elaborated on why he chose to do what he did.
You know, in this life, good help is very, very hard to come by. Vic, Mr. Capri, legend, hero, I've been helping you for the past 3 months to retain the SSW championship you carry over your shoulder so comfortably draped over that shoulder of yours. And all you had to do was give me my shot. That's all I asked for, Vic. I just wanted one shot, and you couldn't even do that for me. You were so selfish. You couldn't even give me that one shot. And look at you now, Vic. Look at you now. Probably have a broken neck. God, I hope that career of yours is over and they just give me the belt because I deserve it. I've been busting my ass for 4 years to get this shot. I'm tired of asking, Vic. So what did I do? You know what I did. I took it. I took it because I deserve it. I deserve it. Next month, right here at the Brat Stop, everyone come on out. I put the belt over my shoulder, right where it belongs.
And that was officially the kickoff to their feud. And at that point in time, any thoughts?
Go ahead, Ryan.
That just seemed like a very hungry and determined Justice Jones.
Yeah, that's Kurt Angle doesn't have anything on that intensity. That's for sure.
Yeah, you can definitely say that. I mean, if there's one thing that could be said is looking at Justice Jones' eyes, and that you could see that he was burning on the inside, and that is a scary thing. So, coming up next, we moved forward about 1 month to October 27th of 2013, when Vic Capri had previously announced that he was going to be making a special announcement.
In 2003, when I retired from wrestling, I didn't go out
way I wanted to go out. The doctors are the ones who told me it was done. Yeah, and I came back. Almost 8 years later. 5 years of therapy, 12 epidurals in my neck. Neck surgery, plate, 6 screws. I came back. I promised myself and promised my family, especially my daughter, I'd never wear one of these braces again. When I came back, I knew it was on borrowed time. It wasn't going to be a long run. But the truth is, Justice Jones, that's right, he is. Yeah, that's right. You see, Jones, you didn't hurt Vic Capri. You hurt my Fasa. You hurt my daughter, Jade. You made this personal. No, I'm not cleared to wrestle, and I don't know if I will be again. But I want you to think of something, Jones. I want you to think about what you did. And what if it was your little girl? Yeah, I know you got a baby girl. And what if you were in the situation I was in, and you couldn't pick her up? And she couldn't understand why you couldn't pick her up. Cut that crap music. Hey, you're a jerk, Joe. I stand there in the back, and I hear you out here crying about days gone by. But you know what? I can take that, Vic. I can hear about all the CM Punks that have passed you by and gone on to greener pastures. I can listen to that. But you have no right to speak about my kid and what I would do with my kid. You want to make this personal, Vic? You made this personal. No. Yeah, you made it personal, Vic. You did. All I wanted was one shot at that, and you couldn't beat me. You're so selfish. All you think about is Vic Capri, and that's why you're still here, Vic. That's why you're still performing in front of idiots in Kenosha. Not performing at the All-State Arena with CM Punk. That's why you're still here. Because it's all about you. It's all about you, Vic. You know what? Tonight that changed. Because that is going around this waist, and you are the one that's going to put it. He makes a good point. He's the #1 contender. I deserve it, Vic. Shut your mouth. And you deserve something, Justice Jones. You do. You gotta put it around this space right here. Put it around this space. I'm not here to wrestle, Jones. Yeah, you're not. Put it on this space. So, fight.
I don't think Justice Jones was expecting that.
No, Vic Capri, a house of fire.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, of course, these are moments where, as the promoter, I start to cringe because you never know what's going to happen when two guys just start brawling all over a place.
And that was before you put in the guardrails.
Yes.
That's why he put in the guardrails.
Exactly. And of course, the idiot trying to breathe reason into this and get it to stop.
You know, that's the thing is, you know, when you're a parent, sometimes you just got to let them have the temper tantrum.
I'm not stopping. You're not covering your hands. This is all on me. I don't care about SSW tonight. I'm going to beat his ass. Yeah, I can't allow this. I can't allow this. I'll be on that
SSW. I cannot allow you to engage with him.
This isn't about SSW.
You can't. But as a man, Vic, you do what you gotta do.
I'd like to point out at this point in time, I turned my back and walked away. I knew there was no stopping it. We would have had to clear the entire locker room out and probably empty the hall of all the fans to get this thing to stop. Probably nobody more lethal than Vic Capri with a kendo stick.
Yeah, no thanks.
Oh, that sound when kendo stick meets skin.
Yeah.
Hey, RJ, do you have any of those left?
I played the fifth.
I could think of somebody that would be a good recipient of that.
Oh,
I hear eBay is a good resource.
It's true.
Yeah. Fortunately, at this point in time, had I known, I probably should have bumped up our security forces a little bit.
Let's go, Vic! 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 Let's go, Vic!
The crowd behind there makes me nervous.
You know, the thing about that with Justice tossing away the kendo stick, some people probably are thinking that was stupid. But, you know, it's kind of smart because if it's not there, it can't be used against you.
Yeah, definitely.
great point.
At this point in time, definitely, it's the ring itself, of course, is not exactly a soft surface to be getting tossed around on. But when you compare that, minimal amount of padding that ring has, and the concrete floor that they are currently on, they'd wish they were in the ring at that point in time. But it was an interesting use of a hamburger at that point. That's a first for SSW. Maybe wrestling, I don't know.
A hamburger match.
I think Justice had mustard in his beard for a week.
Hey, I can relate to that. Actually, no, it wasn't mustard. It was a Cheeto.
Or a canary. Yeah, and as two guys that just want to tear each other apart in this match, it seems like regardless of the danger involved, the crowd was definitely enjoying every moment of it. Ooh. A little dark back here, but action's supposed to be in the ring,
Supposed to be. Doesn't always happen. Can't make any promises, RJ. Can't make any promises.
Uh-oh.
I could hear our bill from the Broad Stop going up astronomically at this point.
Yeah, I hear you there too.
Them cheers have no give either. That had to really hurt.
Oh, how many chairs is that? 1, 2, 3, 4.
And a free soda for the fan.
We need a running total here. If these guys at this show are paying for front row seating, they're definitely getting their money's worth.
The general admission had it up close and personal there for a while.
Yeah, general admission was front row for a while.
Yeah, as you were saying earlier, Ryan, that yeah.
Oh,
Poor ref.
poor Mirko.
I don't know what he was thinking there.
I think right there he was thinking, ow, that really hurt.
I was going to say before how the SSW Championship ended up back in the ring again. It's like you're supposed to wear it with pride, not as a weapon.
Let's go, Nick! Let's go, yeah!
Yeah, for anybody that's tuning in at this moment in time, the reason that there's no referee in the ring is because this ended up being an impromptu brawl between Vic Capri and Justice Jones after Justice Jones had tried to put Vic out of action at the previous show. Essentially, an unsanctioned, unofficiated match between the two.
Yeah, this wasn't even this is just a fight. It's two men going at it in a wrestling match. Excuse me.
Nothing more than a brawl of two egos. Two of the toughest egos in SSW, that's probably for sure.
Yeah, anything called neck breaker is not going to do good things for Vic Capri.
No. Especially when he walked out to the ring wearing that neck brace.
You know, I think that was a mind game with Justice. I think he's trying to psych him out. I'm not entirely sure. He never disclosed how badly his neck was hurt. I know it wasn't good, but I'm not even convinced that he needed that. Of course, I'm a little biased because at the time I was, scouting Justice.
Well, I did see. I did verify with his physician that he was unable to compete. So that was definitely, no fudge factor on that one. That's for sure. But active competition in the ring and, well, let's put it bluntly, kicking someone's ass are two totally different things.
This is true.
It's that ice crusher again. Oh, no.
Ooh.
Oh. Right on the head.
Ouch. Right in the giblets and then right in the head.
I'd like to know where those kendo sticks came from. They definitely weren't part of the SSW equipment.
Maybe the Sandman was at the brat stop.
I'd be more apt to blame Hornswoggle.
I didn't see Sandman fly by on one of those hoverboards, but I hear he's pretty good on those.
So it bursts into flames.
That was a moment of insult on Justice Jones that he probably would have been better suited to just get out of Dodge.
Boy, you guys really let this go on. You guys just let them tear each other apart here.
As we said before, there was no getting in the way of this thing.
Yeah, how are you going to stop it?
You're not in. Kendo stick again.
Yeah. I wasn't going to put out hazard pay to any of my guys to go out there. It was going to end when it ends.
Someone's going to get hurt if we break this up. Send out the refs.
Oh.
Hardest
we were
part
just talking about the ring not having a lot of give, but if there's one spot on the ring you don't want to hit, it is on the edge. That's for sure.
Yeah, no. The crowd solidly behind Vic Capri in a matter of a month or two, when the crowd was booing the heck out of him.
Well, regardless of whether or not you like or despise a guy in the ring, I think when one guy goes to the extreme like Justice Jones did and literally tries to end the career of somebody the way he did, I don't think it's a matter of the crowd so much, loving Vic Capri at this point in time as hating Justice Jones. But all it takes is a moment like that, and you will swing the crowd in your favor for sure, especially when you lay it all on the line like Vic Capri is doing right here. He could be ending his career.
Oh!
Yeah.
That didn't work out as he planned.
It may not have ended his career at that moment in time, but I'll tell you, there's no way it added any time to it. Taking the beating he's taken during this.
Yeah, definitely shortened it.
Yep.
See, and that's the thing is, people don't realize that these guys take more bumps, hits, and bruises than most NFL linebackers do an entire season in one match.
Oh.
Especially right there.
Yeah, there's no flags thrown for that.
Nope.
Right into little Justice Jones's.
Right in the throat.
I think Justice might have felt like a flag was thrown, though.
Comes right back. To give Justice Jones credit, he doesn't stop.
No, he's like a rabid bulldog.
Get up, Vic. Come on, Vic.
There's no stopping the fight in Vic Capri at this point in time.
Yeah, but they're both slowing down now.
It's a special kind of crazy to beg for kicks from Vic Capri.
Yeah.
That'll wake you up.
Oh.
Yeah, if there's anything I know is how tender the back is.
I actually saw one of the photographs from that particular moment. Vic had so much momentum put into those swings, he actually left the canvas.
Jeez. Uh-oh.
Those weren't my pumpkins. Add it to the bill, right?
Who carves the pumpkin from the bottom?
It wasn't sitting right on the stage.
Oh.
Oh.
That is probably the most unique use of a pumpkin in a wrestling, well, I wouldn't say match, but in wrestling that I've ever seen.
Yes.
I would agree with that sentiment. Ooh, wait. October 30th, huh?
Yeah, Devin, are you taking notes on this?
My notes consist of kick to R, very, very hard.
That'll work.
In the face, preferably.
I hear they're pretty solid when they're not carved. And at this point in time, looks like Vic Capri had definitely gotten the advantage over Justice Jones and actually maybe got a little bit of redemption for what he was previously put through.
Yeah, you know, that's definitely time to go night-night.
What a brawl.
Yes. Probably one of the most brutal moments in history of SSW, to that point anyways.
Yeah. I guarantee both men felt that in the morning, and the morning after, and the morning after, and probably the morning after.
Well, I can definitely say for a fact that they both did, because unfortunately both men were put on the inactive list for over a month after this, meaning that at our next event they weren't able to compete. So instead of actually having any sort of match, the two of them were actually put into we put them into a contract signing, which may not have, in retrospect, had been our best move. But I thought I had everything under control a little bit. But unfortunately, as you will see here, things didn't go completely according to plan.
You know, it should be stated though too is that brawl was with Ben Rothwell in the crowd there. He came to the show as well, so I think that definitely impressed him as you saw there at the end.
Yeah, actually, at that point in time, Ben Rothwell was he was promoting a local MMA event that he was involved with. So.
Touching each other in any way before your championship match on December 29th.
Yeah, just a
penalty of $1,000 fine, possible stripping of your number one contendership for the SSW Championship. We are going to have a straight up contract signing. I have the official SSW Championship match contract here for December 29th, and that is going to be at Game of Gold. I will give both of you the opportunity to speak your last words to each other in preparation for your match, and then I need the contract signed to make it official. I will let you guys determine who would like to speak first.
And I do just want to reiterate real quickly there that basically the stipulation was is neither of them could touch each other at all during this or face a $1,000 fine.
I'm gonna get to you in a minute, all right? Whether you people here in Kenosha, hey, Stacy. Whether you people here in Kenosha want to hear it or not, I'm gonna tell you a little story. Excuse me.
Crack team of security we got.
Apparently the champion away too. A little over a year ago, right here in this building, I walked in the front door. Oh yeah, I walked right in the front door, comfortably. And all of you out here saw me break Remy Rain's neck right here in the middle of this ring. And you haven't seen him since. I took care of that. And over the last year, I've taken care of every single person that I've stepped in the ring with. Marche Rocket included, ask him, he knows. That brings me to you, Mr. Capri. That brings me to you.
How are we doing when you talk?
Vic, you're sitting back there right now, comfortable. Got your legs on the table. Got your belt all nice and shined up. I want you to enjoy the next month, Vic. I want you to enjoy carrying my belt around. Hell, I want you to enjoy being able to walk. Because, Vic, after the 29th, you aren't going to have that belt. Slim fast, sweetheart. Slim fast.
I do want to point out that that's always been one of Justice Jones' failing points is he lets the crowd get in his head way too much.
December 29th, your reign as champion here ends, and mine begins. And there's nothing that you or anyone else can do about it, Vic.
Oh my God! Please!
It's gonna happen.
Shut up! Just shut up! Take the squirrel off the face. That's what we need to do, Vic.
Why don't you just sign that?
You guys should get each other up first.
And then I'll have
It's just a
it's the same to you, Mr. Joe.
Are you right?
You see, now you're the one that signed your life. See, you came out here before and talked about how I missed my opportunities, and young guys like you don't get opportunities. Young guys like you don't pay your dues. Young guys like you Don't sleep in a car when it's 10 degrees outside. You get paid $10 to wrestle. Kids like you have it easy.
When they pay?
If they're lucky.
No argument there.
You need to understand something, son. Boy, you're playing a man's game. You say this means something to you. This means nothing to you. You need to understand something. Wrestling means something to me. Do you understand what wrestling has given me? Wrestling has given me my best friend. Wrestling has given me my daughter. Wrestling has given me the girl I plan to spend the rest of my life with. All of that came from being a wrestler and being in front of these people. You, on the other hand, not paid your dues. You've done nothing but bitch and complain that this business owes you something. Exactly. It owes you nothing. It never will. It owes me nothing. But it has given me everything. That's what you don't understand. That's what you will never understand. Because you're nothing but a bully. You used to beat up kids in the playground, I'm sure. And when you got older and you couldn't do it anymore, you decided to come to wrestle and figure, hey, maybe I can get paid to hurt somebody. Maybe I can get paid to try and break somebody's neck. Yeah, I should say you broke somebody's neck.
Justice incognito.
And you think it's funny. You think it's funny ending someone's career. You think it's funny hurting somebody like that. You're nothing. See, the difference is you can knock me down. You can knock me down once, twice, 3 times. It doesn't make a difference. What'll happen is I'm going to get back up and I'm going to get in your face. And I won't stop. That's why I see what you don't realize is you signed your life away. Hey, Vic. I'm not done. Sit your ass down. Sit down while I'm talking. December 29th, right here, we're going to have a match.
Hold on.
Like I said, you will not put me down and keep me down. This is a last man standing match.
You want to say something else now?
Last man standing. That's what you want, Vic? 2 months ago, Vic, I dropped you on your head. Hey, standing. You're done. You're not done. I'm not done with you. 2 months ago, I dropped you on your head. And last month, you talked about your daughter. You talked about not being able to hold your daughter again, Vic. After the 29th, Vic, you are going to be able to hold your daughter again. You won't be able to pick her up. Oh, you want to know something, Vic? Someone will be there to pick your daughter up, Vic, and hold her and watch her grow. You know who that person's going to be, Vic? Me. I'm going to be the one to hold your daughter. I'm going to be the one to hold that girlfriend of yours. I am going to be that man, because after the 29th, you will not be able to do any of that. You can't touch me, Vic. You can't touch me.
Point out to those that didn't see it, Vic Capri just handed me something.
that? Please. That's a check for $1,000.
Prepaying his penalty for breaking the rules.
That got personal very fast.
Yes, that did. I thought the four of us would be enough, and unfortunately, nope.
Yeah, no. Plus, my back was really acted up at that point in time too, so that didn't feel too good.
Nope. Of course, I had to call back to the SSW roster and get as many of them out there as I could to try and break these two off. But even given the circumstances of having half the roster out there, it still wasn't enough to keep these two apart.
Just adding that total, you owe the breath stop, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Vic almost flew out of the ring there.
All right, guys, let's get this under control here.
Finally, a little bit of control.
A little bit.
And I was wrong.
Not so much. Right on to Matt Dewar, Calvin Beckham, and Dave Rydell.
Yeah, I thought it was, in retrospect, I definitely thought it was kind of interesting to see how those guys were the ones who break up that, were the ones siding with Justice and holding him back. That was kind of interesting, wouldn't you say, Devin?
I plead the fifth.
Kind of expected. So,
Hey, come on.
So Ryan, up to this point in time, as you can see, I don't think there could have been any more fuel added to that fire between the two of them. And that feud, full sweep, like what you just said, couldn't have been more personal. What do you think at this point in time?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when he said, when you bring in another wrestler or anybody, you bring in their daughter, their family, that goes 0 to 100 very fast. And I think Justice Jones definitely crossed the line right there. But that just added, like I said, more fuel to the fire for what was to come.
Yeah, what people don't realize is how much of a mind game wrestling is that if you can get in your opponent's head, make them think twice, make them overreact and get angry, they'll make a mistake and you can capitalize on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely was on the proverbial pins and needles watching those two go through that build up to this last man standing match that we're going to watch here in just a moment. And, like you said, Ryan, I mean, when it comes to making a feud personal, I mean, whether it be an SSW or anything you've ever seen on TV or anywhere else, I don't think making a feud personal, I don't think it gets any more personal than what we just saw between Vic and Justice there. And so I know all those words by Vic were directed at Justice Jones, but I have to believe, being through everything that he's been through over the years, I'm kind of thinking that he was probably talking to a lot of people, not just Justice Jones, with the state of how some things are in wrestling today, even.
Definitely.
So, well,
that was therapeutic, I think, for him.
Yeah, you can definitely say that for sure. All right, well, at this moment, we are going to go into we're going to watch the Last Man Standing match that took place on December 29th of 2013. It was the epic build-up that you guys have just seen between Vic Capri and Justice Jones. Vic Capri, of course, defending the SSW Championship, and we will get that up. Sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
This is a last man standing match for the SSW Championship. Introducing first, the challenger out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, at 260 pounds, here is Justice Jones. From Chicago, Illinois, ladies and gentlemen, your SSW champion, the Icepick, Vic Capri.
It has to be expected, Vic not wasting any time to get this match started.
Not at all.
I know that Vic had already gotten his hands on Justice twice before, but I do want to point out that this was the first time that it has actually taken place after the bell rung for an official match.
Oh.
But they don't stay in the ring very long.
No, they don't.
Seems to be that they like the open element of the being out in the crowd to brawl, apparently.
Close and personal.
Well, at least you're back in the ring now, so I'm happy.
And here come the chairs.
It's a special kind of chair when you can find a red one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and a boot.
Yeah, put the brakes on Vic Capri real quick there to Justice Jones.
And of course, the rules to a last man standing match is you have to pretty much incapacitate your opponent so they don't answer a 10 count.
Yeah, I think it was a fitting stipulation for this match between the two of them is to basically officially sanction the opportunity for them to basically beat the crap out of each other for as long as it would take to keep the other man down. I mean, there's so much between these two that it really seemed the only way to justifiably, settle this thing. I know you were saying before, Ryan, that, or correct me, I'm sorry if I'm wrong on this, but you were saying before about the crowd getting firmly behind Vic Capri in the span of only like 1 month. And I think it, I would say at this point in time, so, solidly the crowd was definitely behind him at this point in time. He had proven that, between the two of them that, he was definitely on the side of the right. That was for sure.
Hey, how fast?
And just clubbing blows from Justice Jones onto Vic Capri.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, like we were saying a moment ago, is Justice Jones pretty quickly putting a stop to the fury of Vic Capri in the opening moments of this match.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Of course, Justice Jones not happy with the speed of the referee's count for this, as was stated in the rules of a last man standing match, is to keep him down for the 10. And Justice Jones getting on the ref's case for what he appeared to be not, his perception of the ref not doing his job well enough.
Oh.
How do you get up from that on the floor?
Yeah.
Very, very slowly.
That's a move you don't want to take in the ring, let alone on a hard concrete floor. That's for sure. And those linoleum tiles do not provide any padding whatsoever.
Ow.
But to Justice's credit, you know, to even be rolling in the ring right now is impressive.
Definitely. And another chair.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing I don't want to see. Is I don't want to see a guy like Vic Capri carrying a steel chair in my direction. That's for sure.
I don't think he needs a chair. He's pretty dangerous without a weapon.
That is true.
He is a weapon.
And this doesn't look good for Justice. Oh, sidestepped him.
Not so good for Vic either.
No, not at all.
You know, RJ, you're kind of giving me ideas here.
Hey, I'm just reporting what happened. I'm not responsible for how the information is used. Yeah, with Vic Capri to one knee at 6, Justice moved in quick, knowing that wasn't going to put him down for the count. Good move on Justice's part, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like that move that he just gave Vic took a little bit out of him too, though, slamming him down onto his knee like that.
Yeah, they're both in a bad way right now. Oh.
Kind of looked like Vic was going to be chopping the big man down, but Justice stopped him in his tracks.
Yeah, they don't call it a spine buster because it tickles.
Yeah. Put it this way, if the move's impressive enough to put a name on it, never expect it to feel good.
Yeah. And that knee still giving him a little bit of trouble.
I suppose you could say put any move with spine or neck in it. It's probably something Vic does not want to, be on the receiving end of. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Going for the ice crusher.
Ooh. As impressive of a move that ice crusher is by Vic Capri, the one advantage that the opponent does have is that if they have the momentum just right, they can continue Vic's momentum and just push him right off the top. And clearly, Justice wasn't, shall we say, worn out enough to be able to be a victim of a second one of those at that point in time.
Oh!
But he didn't get out of that.
Ouch!
Probably still feeling that a few years later.
I'm working on
well, when you're working with someone called Icepick, there's bound to be some shrinkage. So. That's right. I went there.
You did.
I like to point out too that the current state that Vic Capri is in, and with this feud with Justice, clearly he just wants to kick the crap out of Justice Jones, but having that mentality of being a wrestler for so long, he is not ignoring the strategy of going after an injured body part on Justice Jones. Seeing that knee in pain and targeting like that. You know, but this might be a fight between the two of them. But Vic is definitely taking a good strategy doing this.
Yeah, torquing that kendo stick against his knee.
Boy, those kendo sticks are everywhere.
Yeah,
They reproduce like tribbles.
breaking that kendo stick across his patella.
Okay,
I think that's
Gorilla.
a technical term.
Would you stop?
Anatomically correct.
Nice.
And I'll point out that, Justice clearly is moving, but until you get to what they call a vertical base, meaning you got both your feet planted on the mat, that count still continues.
That's right. Hence, last man standing. Oh! That was all Justice. Just brute strength. Just whipping Vic Capri right over his head. Onto his head.
Yes. The count continues, and Vic not looking too good at this point.
Neither man looking too hot.
That's an interesting move on Justice's part because that count was getting pretty high, and I know Vic rolled over, but whether or not he would have gotten to his feet at that point in time, I think Justice just saw that he was moving and wanted to make sure he put a stop to it.
Yeah, sometimes instinct just takes over and you just attack.
Yeah, I guess that would be the one distinct difference in a match like this is most people, most wrestlers are unaccustomed to just sitting back and not pursuing the attack on their opponent and just sitting back and waiting for something to happen. Just is unnatural,
Yep. If you let your opponent get to their feet, there's a greater chance they're going to hit you with something.
Very true. I guess the advantage of having a 10 count in this too is an opportunity to play possum and take a few moments to recoup a little bit, even if you don't, even if it seems like you might be putting the match at risk.
Yep, definitely. Sorry, I had to sit there.
No problem. At this point in time, both of them, Vic is up, but Justice earned the 7 count on that one.
Yeah. And the chairs come into play now.
Uh-oh.
Nope. Ooh. Once again, hitting him with that overhead belly-to-belly into the corner.
Cringeworthy every time I see Vic Capri come down like that, too.
Yeah, not my idea of a good time.
Absolutely not.
Justice Jones with Peter Griffin.
Luckily, Vic is in the vicinity of the ropes there because if he would have been in the middle of the ring, he might have struggled to get to his feet, but luckily the ropes were there for him to help himself pull up.
Uh-oh. Boom. Ouch.
That is a whole lot of person flying at you. And
nothing says I love you like a senton to the face.
Yeah. Or I hate you. And thank you for saying senton.
I know some moves.
So I hate the term swanton. Oh. a knee from Vic Capri is bad enough, let alone him running from one side of the ring to the other and springboarding off one of the ropes to hit you in the face with it.
Yeah. That's the thing. A guy like Vic Capri is just solid muscle hitting you. It's going to hurt even that much more. Not like me. I'm huggable.
And I feel pretty safe in saying that the minimal amount of padding that knee pad he has on his knee probably didn't lessen the blow to Justice at all.
That's the thing is, even a little bit of padding, you're still getting the brunt of the impact.
Absolutely.
I heard that on Bill Nye.
Yeah. On top of that, to crash down to the mat like that too. I mean, if anything, the padding that the mat has is nothing more than what you get for an anti-fatigue sort of thing. So to see those two guys crash down like that, both these guys are just adding, another number to the countdown clock in this last man standing match.
Oh, yeah. There's your receipt.
Yeah, a little bit of adrenaline kicking in on both these guys right now.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Somebody had their Red Bull today.
Vic Capri and Justice Jones making Lou Crank jealous.
That's obscure reference of the week.
Name drop from about a decade ago.
Lou.
Brian Cross is out there watching. He probably just chuckled a little bit. And 8 count. Definitely can tell these two are getting worse for wear in this match.
Ooh.
More goodies.
RJ, are there still tables under the ring?
I don't know how that got there. That was before we had a commentary table, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, I was commissioner. I may have had something to do with that.
Now Ryan Young understands why we didn't have commentary for a while, because that was our table. Was, spoiler alert.
You mean they're not going to sit down and have a nice meal?
We'll just wait and see how it plays out.
Tables don't usually last very long in a wrestling ring.
I've seen some of those indie tables that they try and use. Some of them are unbreakable.
Yes.
I think GQ found that out recently.
Yeah.
I think everybody saw that.
Mm.
Oh. Hey, indeed. Holy crap. It's probably the most fitting holy crap we've heard so far.
Yeah, that was an appropriate use of it.
Oh my God, what is he doing?
I like how gingerly Justice kind of like walked away. He's like, he set the chair, then he's like, okay, that's the end of this, and starts heading away.
Well, that's the thing is people don't realize how sweaty you get when you put like an object on there. It sticks really easily. And I'm not being funny when I say that. It's actually true.
Oh, and Vic.
It's too bad Vic didn't stick to the table, at least for Justice Jones' perspective. Oh.
Well, he asked for that.
See, You know, you ever sit on a leather couch in a hot summer day? It's kind of a similar effect.
Oh, boy.
What? It's true.
Well, clearly, whatever's planned at this point in time is, wow, both of them going, Vic Capri going to the top rope, what he's got planned here. Oh,
Ooh.
my goodness.
Oh, boy.
Puts Justice Jones through the table and lands on top of him to boot.
Yeah. Yeah, his head's gonna be.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, and Devin Diamond is appearing at ringside.
I didn't want the match to end in a double countout.
Well, it looks to me like Vic Capri was getting to his feet.
Grabbed the ref by his ponytail.
Oh.
What a jerk.
Devin Diamond showing his true colors at that point.
Yep, green. See, it's green.
It is.
Now, Vic Capri would have had the match won at that point in time. If not for... an unexpected moment here, and...
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, I had been touting that we had a special guest coming.
Yeah, that's right. For weeks prior to this moment, Devin Diamond had been announcing on social media that he had invited a special guest to SSW, and it appeared to be, it's Dave Rydell.
Yeah.
So upset. So anticlimactic. No, it worked. See, that's the thing is people don't realize, not everybody realizes that Vic Capri is good friends with CM Punk. And like I said, it's called a mind game.
Well, as annoyed and irritated as I still am to see this, I do have to admit that when it comes to turns and swerves, I think this is probably one of the most devastating and impressive ones we've ever seen in SSW.
If there's one thing to be said, from all the things that you can say about me, I do know how to have something make an impact.
Now, the one thing I do have to point out at this point is the X Factor being Dave Rydell. He had just come out there earlier and basically said that he was done and kind of sang a sob story to the crowd and got a standing ovation before he left, and then comes out and does this. And being the owner of SSW, I'm sure some of you are wondering why I allowed this to happen. Well, Devin Diamond is officially the SSW commissioner at that point in time and allowed to make matches, add stipulations, and, of course, was in charge of who would be the officials of the matches. And the perfect storm hit Vic Capri at this moment in time. But Devin wasn't commissioner much longer after this, I would like to point out.
No, you fired 2 hours after that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the match and new SSW champion, Justice Jones.
We'll admit, other than the longer hair, Dave Rydell really did almost be a spitting image of CM Punk, the way he looked right there. And the pile driver for good measure.
The exclamation point.
It's time for a new era in SSW. Mr. Rydell, you truly are the best in the world. You are body hook, line, and sinker.
quad back injury, his retirement.
In all this CM Punk talk,
All been
that
orchestrated
was back relevant.
itself for these individuals in this ring. Hey, didn't you say there was someone else? We were alone? We're not alone, right? Who else?
And for anybody wondering why I didn't put a stop to this, here's why.
Little turd, no. I have a special present for you, Justice. To celebrate your new championship win, I present to you RJ Daniels. Oh, that's right. And our comrade, Calvin Beckham, the prettiest man in wrestling.
Also, RJ was looking tied up.
Literally and figuratively.
Are you kidding me right now? No.
You have done everything in your power to undermine me from the start. Letting me be your little ring announcer. Letting me be your little raffle boy. And then I hurt my back. And I suddenly relieved my duties. You forget my birthday? I'm not on your posters.
That hurt.
You forgot his birthday?
Is right. Justice is
Apparently.
right. They are what is now in SSW.
We got a present for you, RJ. Come on, RJ.
And thankfully at that moment, the rest of the SSW roster had, well, our backs, I guess, at this point in time, because clearly we needed the help. So, anyways,
Well, that was awkward.
yeah, that's a little awkward. So, Devin, care to explain yourself a little bit?
I didn't see what happened. No, you know what? That's the thing is I will admit that I might have taken things a little too far. But like I said, I mean, you kind of were giving me the shaft. I wasn't on any of the flyers. I mean, hell, Diego Corleone was on the flyers, and he wasn't even on the show.
Well,
I gotta say, my feelings were kind of hurt. But you know what? I am man enough to apologize and say I'm sorry that I felt neglected and disrespected and took things into my own hands.
RJ, you know people do change.
oh yeah, I know. I've been there. We won't drag this one along any longer. I can see Devin squirming there, so we're gonna move on, and we're gonna take a look now.
I can't change the past, but I can change the future.
Definitely.
Words to live by. Definitely.
What's so funny about that?
We'll just see how things play out. So, but anyways, moving forward from this, clearly it was a completely unexpected moment for me, for everybody, for the SSW fans, the entire roster. But what we didn't understand fully at that point in time is that contract that we saw signed before. You had put in a little bit of spin into the fine print of that contract, didn't you, Devin?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I remember very clearly, and it basically said that if Vic Capri lost the match, that he didn't get a rematch, and he went to the bottom of the barrel, so to speak, in SSW. He threw that little clause in there to assure that he wouldn't get his rematch with Justice Jones.
I may have done that, but I guess that's really more of a PSA for. You should really read the fine print on any document you sign before you sign it. Just say it.
That's true.
Ryan sounds like he knows by experience.
No.
Care to elaborate?
No, I'm good.
You're good.
That AshleyMadison.com membership, huh? Coming to bite you.
Yes.
Wow. Moving on. Anyways, so given that stipulation was put on there at the next event on February 9th of 2014, Vic Capri had to start from the bottom of the barrel, so to speak, and he decided that he wanted to take matters into his own hands, and he wanted to get his hands on Justice Jones one more time. And to do that, he had to go through everybody on the roster, and he was going to start with none other than Jason Parks. Good old JP.
And his Zubas.
And I use the term starting at the bottom of the barrel as affectionately as I possibly can when it comes to JP.
Would not want to be in Vic Capri's way in that mindset.
Nope.
It's like going through the wood chipper feet first.
Ugh. Listen to KP scream.
If I were being submitted by Vic Capri, I think we all would sound like that.
Yes.
But Vic Capri made short work of JP, but he was definitely not done at that point in time.
He's thinking every single one of these people are Justice Jones.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all he's seeing right now. Whatever body was in the ring with him, all he was seeing is Justice Jones, and the punishment that these guys were going to take was essentially him beating up Justice Jones. Antonelli, unfortunately, getting the brunt of it now.
Yeah, don't want to be him either.
Kind of almost seeing shades of the first few appearances by Vic Capri and SSW with that,
Ruthless aggression.
Yeah, seeing Vic, kick a guy in the ribs like that, you could definitely tell that he's just seeing Justice Jones, like you said.
That's right. You can almost say Vic is like a house of fire. Up and over. Oh.
I'm going to go under the assumption at that point in time, all Antonelli was doing was pissing Vic off.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Trying to survive and pissing off the former champion. Ooh.
Got to give Antonelli some credit here. He was holding his own.
Yeah, definitely put up more of a fight than JP did. Not kicking out of that. No way.
No, I've been on the receiving end of that, and that hurts a lot.
And Vic's far from done. And I do want to point out that by the time the mass stretcher came out, I was starting to take notice that Vic Capri was definitely not in his right mindset during this. Like you said before, just seeing Justice. He was in the ring and he was saying to guys, he was like, basically verbalizing, calling them Justice. And I started to fear for any more of the roster coming out and facing Vic Capri, because clearly Vic was, like we said, he was not in a good place.
Yeah, I feel the same way whenever I see one of those guys wrestle with one of those one-arm singlets. I want to beat him up too.
Hey, Mass Stretcher is no slouch. A technician through and through when it comes to the middle of the ring. But Vic Capri showing he has all sorts of offense. Locks in that leg submission on the stretcher. getting the stretcher to tap out is no easy feat. That's either. No pun intended either.
Yeah, the stretcher probably should have stretched more.
And this here was where I noticed Vic calling for Justice Jones and unwilling to release the hold. He just
anger.
Red.
Where's Jones? Where's Jones? Huh? Get out here! I'll go through every one of them, Jones. Get out here! This is all your fault.
Yep. And at that point in time, I came out and I had to cut things short and send Vic home, unfortunately, because he was just way too overboard at that point in time. So, but later on that night, we had more run-ins, I guess, if you want to say, with Justice Jones, Dave Rydell, Kelvin Beckham, and of course Devin Diamond, and they crossed paths with Marche Rocket and Paulie Tomaselli, which again was not a good decision. And they ended up in a tag team match, but I was not going to have a handicap match. I gave them the opportunity to pick a partner for that very match, and lo and behold, well, you know what? Maybe Vic Capri wasn't actually as far from the building as everybody thought, because he was their partner in that 3-on-3 match, and we're going to take a look at the end of the match right now. And again, we're watching the main event from it was the 3-on-3 tag team match between Justice Jones, Kelvin Beckham, and Dave Rydell, taking on Marche Rocket, Paulie Tomaselli, and Vic Capri. If I remember correctly, Vic Capri was dying to get into the middle of the ring and take these guys on, and finally got the tag from Marche and got his hands on Rydell, essentially the man that screwed him out of the SSW Championship, but I guess everybody, the entire team, had something to do with that.
Ooh.
I'm not exactly sure what that move is called, but a variation on some sort of a pedigree type maneuver.
That was called the Mirror Breaker.
I guess we needed Smoothie for the name of that move, right?
Oh, jeez. He only knows fast food menus. He don't know wrestling moves.
And there goes Rydell.
Yeah, Marche and Dave Rydell aren't any strangers to each other either.
Yeah, a long history between those two, as we saw recently. A lot of bad blood in this ring, whether or not it was between teammates or future opponents.
Ooh.
Vic Capri finally getting his hands on Justice Jones, as you saw earlier.
Ice Crusher.
Almost.
Almost.
Justice must have really scouted out that move, because that's multiple times now we've seen him escape that Ice Crusher. Beckham, not so lucky.
No, not so much.
Oh, and then
I was emotional.
Looked like Vic was emotional too.
oh, please, come on.
You're lucky that was a loose tie, or Vic would have taken your head with it, Devin.
This is really awkward.
Our referee, your winners of this match, the tag team combination of Kelvin Beckham, Dave Rydell, and SSW champion, Justice Jones.
Hey, who's that handsome guy behind Devin?
Is that Devin?
But anyway, so at this point in time, it really appeared that Devin, you had put quite a crew together, and they showed their dominance for the first time in SSW. That was for sure.
I refer to them as the best in the Midwest.
Oh, jeez.
Well, you can call them what you want, and I'll use a different name, but I won't get into that. Of course, you see Vic Capri not very happy at the way things transpired. He definitely didn't get the revenge he was looking for. Or, as aptly named as it was, the retribution. But Vic Capri would have another chance, and that would come at the next event when we would have a battle royal to determine the number one contender to the SSW Championship. And in that match, Justice Jones agreed to be a competitor in the match, and if he won, he wasn't going to have to defend the belt. Well, I'll just say that I played a little bit of mind games with Justice because I announced Vic Capri as the last competitor in the match, thus putting the two of them in the ring together, which is exactly what Vic wanted. And these guys did not.
Yeah, and you complain about me changing the rules.
Hey, I can't help it that the word chicken is something Justice Jones can't deal with.
Chicken.
Sometimes you gotta fight fire with fire. As you can see in the background, Vic Capri just eliminating Justice Jones, the big clothesline, taking him out of the match. So, and effectively meaning Justice Jones does not fit that stipulation. And unfortunately, Vic Capri also eliminated himself from the match by diving out onto Justice Jones. And from that point in time,
that's a prime example of letting your anger get the best of you. Or Vic Capri just tossed away an SSW title match just for revenge.
Well, it just goes to show you as how important it was to him to get his hands on Justice Jones, that he was willing to give up a possible title shot to be able to get his hands on Justice Jones. And I know the camera did not see it, but they brawled for a while backstage, and it took a few guys to get that broken up too. So, again, no love lost between the two.
Indeed.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, after that, unfortunately, that didn't resolve into a match between Vic Capri and Justice Jones, but clearly their feud was going to continue. But it would come to our 11th anniversary show, which took place on May 26th of 2014. And this is going to harken back to something that Justice actually had brought up about ending the career of one Remy Reigns. And for those that did not see it, it took at our first show that we did at the Brat Stop in 2013. Remy Reigns was going to have a match, was scheduled to have a match with Justice Jones, but unfortunately, due to nagging injuries and that, he was not going to be able to compete. But before he was officially able to take himself out of the match, Justice Jones came down to the ring and essentially, started the match before Remy was ready, and proceeded to give him a pile driver, much like what Vic Capri took later on, and put Remy Reigns out of action. Well, we had chosen to give Remy Reigns the 2014 induction into our Hall of Honor, and unfortunately, Justice Jones and the crew decided they wanted to get involved, and we're going to take a look at that.
Here with the official 2014 Hall of Honor plaque, Remy Reigns for being the heart and soul of SSW. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. It was an honor. It's all been an honor for you fans. I really appreciate it, but of course, very pleasantly interrupted everything was I was about to get my hands or my phone back or not. So, you fans, the last place I wrestled was here, so what I'm going to say is basically that on your back. Hey, you big dude.
You know what the Hall of Honor is? It is for washed up has-beens that can't do it anymore. And that's why you're dressed in street clothes, running, because you can't do it anymore. You see this out here? This is a group of guys that can still do it. As you can see, we run things around here. So, why don't you take your little award, wherever it's at, I think it's in the back. Get in your car and go home. Go home where you belong. Because the next time, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to kill you.
Justice Jones threatening murder.
That escalated quickly.
I don't like my boots. Wait, hold on. Wait. Have I said some things tonight to offend you people? Hey, good. That's what you paid me for. Thank you. Hey.
Mind games continue with Justice.
Get out of my ring. Before someone you gets hurt.
Justice Jones always likes to cross that line.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Justice Jones ducking out. Remy looking like he didn't come unprepared for this moment.
Well, if you're going to go down, you might as well go down swinging.
So I do want to point out at this point. Oh, well.
You're going to have your hands full right now with Willie the Bomb Richardson. Oh, and in September, the next show here at SSW, Remy Bain is back.
Now I do want to point out that Willie Baum Richardson and Remy Raines go way back. They've known each other for a while, and Willie making a surprise return to SSW, coming to the defense of his friend and challenging Justice Jones for the SSW Championship at our 11th anniversary show. And much to the crowd's pleasure, might I add. But unfortunately, as to be expected when it comes to Devin Diamond and his crew, they're not going to just sit idly by at ringside when the champion is looking at risk to lose his title. See Rydell hopping up in the ring and Beckham as well. Virtually knocked off the turnbuckle.
In our defense, he pretty much leapfrogged the entire roster and got a title shot out of nowhere. I don't think he really deserved it.
Willie Richardson is a former SSW Tag Team Champion and goes way, way back with us. And we were happy to have him on board. And just unfortunately was not able to overcome the forces of your cronies and bring home the SSW Championship. I know some of you are probably wondering how this ties into the feud with Vic Capri, but obviously Vic Capri wasn't going to just sit back and watch a Midwest, wrestling legend like Willie Richardson take a beating from Justice Jones and the Beckham and Rydell here. And as you will see here shortly, also Willie's good friend Marche Rocket, as well as Vic Capri, come to their aid and chase off the crew.
I know you can't take it anymore. I may not be a wrestler. You may not be a wrestler. Fine, but you know what? I got a better idea. You think you want SSW? You trust your boys so much? How about this? When we return in September, right here to the Pride Stop, Labor Day weekend, SSW is back. And you know what? We're going to kick things off the bang. And you know what we're going to do? You're punks. champions. And you, in a match, and you want control of SSW, your boys win that match for you, you're going to have it because I won't do this job anymore.
Yeah, Vic definitely didn't know where I was going with that.
No, you guys are really going to like this one, so hear me out for a second. You trust your boys so much, you put something on the line. Your boy Justice right there holds something that belongs to this man right here. He stole that from Vic Capri 5 months ago. So you know what? I'm going to let Vic Capri put a team together. And if his team can win,
They win the tag team titles!
he gets the SSW championship back. So, Devin, since you're the brains of this operation, what do you say?
I'm not saying much.
Shut up.
You're on. We got this. SSW championship for your ownership. 4-on-4. I got this, Justice. Us four against Vic, who seems to be running very short on friends. See as how Marche can't get along with really anybody in this company, and you staff enough people in the back. RJ, if you want to reach for desperate straws, be my guest, because no one is more solidified than this crew. We are the best in the Midwest today. I haven't wrestled in 8 years, but I'm sure as hell willing to risk my body and his championship for control of the company.
It's very generous of you, Devin.
I agree. I'm very giving.
So essentially, at that point in time, the entire feud between Vic Capri and Justice Jones had clearly come to a head, and it was actually turning into a affair about the future of SSW. When I decided I was going to put up control of SSW because, frankly, I just couldn't do it anymore if this was all going to continue. And Devin so generously putting Justice Jones' belt on the line. So we're going to take a look at the that match. Right now, we're going to take a look at the closing moments of that match because if anybody wants to watch the full contest, it is available on our YouTube channel. It's a fairly long match, so we're going to take a look at the closing moments of the Best in the Midwest 4-on-4 elimination match with the SSW Championship or ownership of SSW on the line, and we are going to take a look at that right now. At this point in time, the match has come down to Justice Jones taking on Remy Reigns and Vic Capri. We ran out of refs, so yours truly had to fill in as the guest referee for the ending of this match. I think Devin Diamond had something to do with that, didn't he?
No. I'm innocent.
Wow. I think that's about the most untrue thing you've ever said.
I don't have to take this abuse, man. I'm trying to turn over a new leaf here, dude.
We got to get through this first. I'd like to point out that if there's two guys in SSW that had the biggest chip on their shoulder when it came to Justice Jones, Vic Capri definitely, but Remy Reigns wasn't far behind after having was basically wanting to take some time off and literally having his career nearly ended by Justice Jones. Just happy to see him back in the ring.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Remy is lucky he could walk after that pile driver, let alone get back in the ring.
And as you can tell, I wasn't didn't come prepared to be a referee, but had to do the best I could.
You looked great, RJ.
Well, suck up. Oh, excuse me.
Come on, SSW.
And just a reminder to everybody, the stipulation on this match was elimination rules. A team of 4 taking on a team of 4, and whichever team won the match would determine the outcome of whether or not Vic Capri got his SSW championship back, or whether Devin Diamond would take over control of SSW and I would leave. And of course, that's each team representing one of those options. Devin's just lucky I didn't put the tag titles on the line too, but I figured it'd be too hard to figure that one out.
In fairness, they weren't mine, so I wasn't really lucky.
Yeah. I know at that last moment, Justice had made a comment about the crowd not responding to Remy, but clearly that is definitely not the case because they were solidly behind Remy, getting that tag and getting Vic in there.
Well, Remy's always been a fan favorite of SSW.
Still is, just haven't seen him for a while. Longest reigning CyberSlam champion in SSW history. A precursor to the Lightning Division title, or now the Triple Threat Championship, but a lot to explain. Here we see Vic and Justice back to essentially just clubbing blows back and forth.
Just beating each other up.
Expecting these two to resort to anything else but using their fists is probably not a good bet. And a rare submission hold by Justice. You don't see this too often. Usually he likes to ground and pound his opponents into submission. Putting them in an actual submission maneuver is kind of rare for Justice. Doesn't have its cinched in too tight on Vic either, probably showing his inexperience with doing submission maneuvers.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't care what type of move Justice puts you in. It's something you don't want to be in, that's for sure. Even if it's not in the strongest cinch.
Yeah, it's like hugging a cactus. Sure, you can do it, but it's not advisable.
I suppose either if it's a light hug or a bear hug, it still hurts.
It's true.
And again, I know we've called that one before. Justice seems to has that. He's got Vic's number when it comes to getting out of that ice crusher.
I think it has a lot to do with his height. He's just so much taller than Vic that he can just kind of whoop. That's the official name of that, too. Whoop.
Yeah.
Oh, again.
But he didn't get out of that one. And Remy Reigns with his patented 5-star frog splash, or
4.5-star frog smash.
that's right.
I know. I've been on the receiving end of that, and it hurts.
What a win.
I'd like to point out I was a little hesitant because I knew Vic was the official guy, but clearly Justice was beat at that point in time, and it didn't matter, so I counted the 3.
Yeah, the rules don't apply when RJ says so.
Didn't matter who was going to get the pin. Justice was down.
Never know.
Your new SSW champion. Ironically enough, it doesn't happen very often, is Vic Capri gets a championship without actually making the pinfall, but it was it was definitely fitting to see Remy Reigns be the one to put Justice Jones down for the count. After not getting a chance to do that for year and a half at that point in time, and again with the stipulation of the match, whatever team won, if Vic's team won, he got the SSW championship.
Yeah, see, Remy could have made a case for being the champion then because he made the final pinfall.
Now, Remy was a team player, and he knew the stipulations on the match, and he knew that what he signed on for was a team battle, and at that point in time, Vic Capri's team, brought everything full circle for him, and he recaptured the SSW championship. And that, at that point in time, is essentially where the feud ended between Vic Capri and Justice Jones, because, unfortunately, which we didn't show there, was shortly after Vic got that title back, Paulie Tomaselli came out, cashed in his Lords of the Ring contract that he earned by winning the 2014 Lords of the Ring tournament, cashed in his title shot, and almost immediately took the belt from Vic Capri. So not exactly the moment that Vic was looking for that night, but I think getting his revenge on Vic Capri was probably the moment that mattered the most to him at that point in time. So what'd you guys think this far?
I think this has been really awkward. We're bringing up old stuff. This is like an old married couple fighting about stuff that happened like when they first started dating.
No, definitely not surprised you feel that way. And I know
Martha, just drop it already.
Yeah. Well,
not yet.
Who's Martha?
Yeah. Well, the reason we went through this, and I know we're starting to run a little bit long on this broadcast, so I do want to get this wrapped up. But the reason we got to this point was because at our last show on September 4th, as we said earlier, Vic Capri and Justice Jones had some unfinished business, and Justice Jones returned to SSW after Vic Capri recaptured the SSW championship for a third time. And what we're going to do now is we're going to show that match from September 4th, and this is basically, I'm presuming from this point forward, the final nail in the coffin of the feud between Vic Capri and Justice Jones. Earlier in the show, as we talked about earlier, Justice came out, accepted the open challenge of Vic Capri, and then proceeded to give him, I believe it was a belly-to-belly slam in the middle of the ring, just to put an exclamation point on the fact that he was going to be challenging him for the title. And we are going to take a look at that match right now. And this is the match from September 4th at our Season 14 premiere event, Vic Capri versus Justice Jones for the SSW Championship. 2 years after the end of their last feud, as we just watched.
Ooh.
And it's the same old Vic Capri. He's determined to once again take care of Justice Jones.
Yeah, there's still a lot of bad blood there. Not things that you easily forgive and forget.
And we do have guardrails now, which is nice.
Yes, and of course, in the beginning of the show, Justice Jones, he was on his hands and knees begging for a shot before eventually he, like you said, him on Vic Capri.
Yeah, and it's interesting, as we talked about before, too, now to see Vic and Justice outside the ring. It seems to be their natural habitat when it comes to these two.
Here we see the wild Vic Capri in its natural habitat outside the ring.
Oh, right into.
If memory serves me correct, I do want to point out that it seemed like, to a certain extent in this match, it was almost like, I guess to use the term, a Reader's Digest version of their entire feud. It kind of seemed like they were going to old territory with this. It rekindled that, that fire that both of them had inside of each other towards each other, that they ended up going outside the ring. Now you see them brawling, out with, literally in with the fans. I mean, this is how their feud started.
With garbage cans over each other's heads.
Yeah, but the interesting thing was last time Vic Capri was the one that was putting Justice Jones into the garbage can, and it's a little role reversal here. Not exactly the most impactful hits he was giving Vic, but
Well, you don't want to get qualified.
It looked like a pretty full garbage can, too.
A couple beer bottles in there.
Yeah, definitely a lot. If I remember that crowd correctly.
It is Kenosha. They like their beer.
Yes.
Ooh, that floor has no give.
No. Even with those guardrails there, doesn't help. Looks like Justin's a little confused with the guardrails being there, though. It's like, oh, wait, I can't get in here.
Who put these here?
Definitely after that feud with Vic Capri and Justice Jones, I definitely took the investment for safety to go get those guardrails, because should the need ever arise, as we see right here, But unfortunately, when you add something to ringside, not only is it a safety issue, but it also can become a weapon.
Both men a little older and a little wiser and a little hungry for that championship.
Well, that's definitely something that when Justice came out earlier, that was one of the key points that he was making, is he was claiming to Vic that he deserved another shot. He kind of actually apologized for Vic for essentially being a jackass before and doing the things that he did, and that he had, as his shirt that he was wearing when he came out about being next level, a new era of Justice Jones, claiming that he was just a dumb kid back then, and he's been through a lot over the past couple of years trying to turn over a new leaf, and that he just, he needed to prove to himself that, right after he did that, then he went and turned to his old tactics and decided that he was just going to attack Vic, and it kind of seemed like it was disingenuous.
Like I said, Justice has always been a master of mind games.
It's weird to see these guys in the ring.
Oh. That did not feel good. Justice making that clear. Yeah, Vic's got to be a little careful there. That eye poke right in front of the referee. He's lucky the ref didn't disqualify him, but given the history between these two, that our referee Mirko there, he was front and center in a lot of it. I think he's letting a few things slide.
Plus his eyesight isn't so good. He is a referee.
I hear that referees union, they lost their vision benefits.
That's right. I hear their Ultron benefits are very good. Say hi to Mr. Bigglesworth.
At this point in time, Justice looked like he's stalking Vic Capri, maybe giving Vic a little too much time to recoup, because, as we were talking about Justice having some time to grow as a competitor, in the meanwhile, Vic Capri's been through a lot over the past 2 years since Vic was there too, and Vic Capri is not someone you want to, he should be, giving time to, recoup in the middle of the ring, Oh. That'll take the wind out of you.
Yeah, I know all about chops. Crowd does not like the referee.
What's new?
This is true.
Well, as we know, officials are not there to be liked. They're there to do their job, and sometimes they miss things, but 98.5% of the time they get it right.
Yeah.
And I do have to say, after all the things we put RJ and the rest of the roster through, I got to say that probably seeing Justice Jones competing in the main event for the SSW Championship again is probably at the very bottom of things I thought I'd ever see.
No, and I had to give it some thought to whether or not even allow this to happen. But to be honest with you, I just felt that I hate to use the term, but you got to do what's best for business, and I think that this crowd deserved nothing less than an epic main event, and I think that's exactly what they got. And bringing Justice back as a blast from the past. Definitely doesn't look like he missed a beat in the time he was away from SSW, that's for sure.
He looks good.
A little more clean cut and a little more intense.
Looking good.
Yep, laying on your back, looking up at Vic, and being hung over the bottom rope like that. Definitely not where I'd want to be.
Not at all.
Vic looking like that adrenaline starting to pump and getting his second win here.
Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of what I was talking about before, Vic, and that opportunity to get his win back. That's, Justice should not be holding back, that's for sure at this point.
Yeah, and you have a special kind of adrenaline when you're trying to hold on to that championship.
Oof. Not to say you could ever get accustomed to taking a move like that, but definitely not the first time Vic, felt that. That's for sure.
Still hurts. That's for sure.
I think that's one thing that could be said for both of these guys too, though, is that even though 2 years had passed between they were in the ring together, there's one thing that neither of them was going to forget is, knowing what each person was going to dish out and being able to counter and move out of the way like Vic just did there. And if anything, that might be a saving grace for both of them is that when they instinctually know something is coming their way, that being able to lessen the impact to some degree. Just a slap to the face back and forth here now.
Disrespect.
At least they're being wise enough to pay attention to the rules of the match, not using a closed fist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof.
Jeez, all he does is yell.
It's like a freight train.
And returning the favor.
Here it goes again.
Oh.
You sound like a freight train.
Whoa. I think Justice was lucky that the referee might have been in the way of that move because Vic looked like he was ready to finish him off. But he definitely didn't expect him to pop up like that. Ooh.
Ooh. Beautiful T-bone. Look at the sweat on the mat.
Yeah. Yeah, both of these competitors wearing down at this point in the match. They're trying to pump himself and the crowd up a little bit here. Vic with the trash talk.
Indeed. Kind of uncharacteristic of him.
Justice slow to get to his feet. Almost unusual for him.
Vic Capri just stalking him.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
See again, using that height advantage.
I was gonna say, I bet you that he'd break out of it, and he did.
You'd almost think it'd be prudent for Vic at this point in time to not even try that move anymore on him. Oh.
That right there, I thought was it.
Death Valley driver in the corner. Wow.
Ouch.
Vic is lucky he kicked out on that.
Again, targeting the neck.
Yep. Now let's not forget that.
The crowd is behind behind Vic and wanting to see Justice get his butt kicked.
Yeah.
It's like time hasn't even passed.
This goes to show that when you're good at what you do, you don't miss a beat. And third time is the charm there for Vic Capri, finally hitting that ice crusher on Justice Jones.
Yep.
And putting him down for the count. Vic Capri. A long time coming for that.
Yep. No love lost between those two men.
Almost 3 years in the making.
That's probably almost therapeutic for both men in an aspect, if you think about it.
Or
Kind of
cathartic.
have unfinished business, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if anything, this kind of feels, this match is like an epilogue, the final chapter between these two.
The Hobbit.
Yeah, unexpected journey between these two that ended up, with the desolation of Justice Jones.
And 5 armies. Oh, wait. Oh.
But,
Give me a second. I'll think it's some.
Yeah, Vic Capri with that rightful, championship back around his waist or on his shoulder, whichever way, celebrating the win finally. And to put a point on it too is like he may have won the battle, the war with Justice Jones before, but that was still a battle that he needed to settle. I mean, he didn't put Justice's shoulders to the mat, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, until this point in time. I mean,
No, that was Remy that made the final pinfall in that match.
So and Vic putting the exclamation point on Justice there ringside and taking his long deserved, celebration with the SSW championship at the top of the entrance ramp there.
As Ryan Young so eloquently said, 3 years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we just covered about 3 years of time and
3 hours.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not quite 3 hours, but a little longer than we wanted to. So, but there we have it, folks. That was the epic feud in SSW between Vic Capri and Justice Jones. And as you saw, I think in the end, Vic Capri was victorious and got his retribution finally on Justice Jones. So, any final thoughts on the feud from you guys?
You can go ahead first, Ryan.
I definitely enjoyed it, but I'm glad to see, like you said, that was the end, and I think we saw a great finish to that. Vic Capri finally got his retribution on a guy that cost him so much, and way to go, Vic Capri, and now it's on to what's next. Yep.
That is definitely.
I know that we haven't seen eye to eye as this video has so glaringly shown, but I do have to say is that regardless of how you feel about Justice Jones or Vic Capri, you have to respect both men. They are warriors. They are Spartans. They are guys who will just, kick your ass and not think twice about it. Whether you love them, whether you hate them, you don't want to get in their way.
No, and even though I would have liked to have seen things go a lot differently over the past couple of years, I am definitely thankful to have both of them involved in SSW.
Agreed.
It was an honor, even though it was hard to bear the brunt of some of it. I mean, both Vic and Justice, great competitors, great wrestlers to have involved in SSW. And honestly, thank you to both of them for being involved in SSW, as crazy as that time period may have been. So, without further ado on any of that, I think we've put a bow on the Vic and Justice feud. And we're going to need to wrap things up here on the second episode of SSW Online Live But before we do that, I just want to remind everybody that we are returning to the Brat Stop on Sunday, October 30th, and that is going to be our Halloween event, which is going to be entitled All Hallows Eve. You can join the event on Facebook, and Devin, correct me if I'm wrong, but we already have a match announced for that show, correct?
I think we do. I heard it's going to be Matt Dewar taking on. Oh, that's right, Devin Diamond. And I know we haven't quite decided on what kind of stipulation we're going to put on that match because I think it needs one. But I think it's going to involve something with my foot being shoved straight up Matt Dewar's butt.
I would pay to see that. That is for sure. But pun intended. Not only do
you almost made him choke on water.
Yeah, it's easy. I've seen Ryan Young about 3 times do that in this broadcast so far. But what I got to say at this point in time is we have also confirmed the main event for that show, and I do know that Ryan Young is going to be very happy to find this one out.
You got Ken Anderson?
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say that, but I am going to say this. The main event has been confirmed, and it will be Joey Avalon and Max Holiday defending the SSW Tag Team Championships. Now, who is the question? They are going to be defending the Tag Team Championships against Hardcore Impact, Paulie Tomaselli and Hardcore Craig. Yeah, I knew Ryan was going to like that one.
There we go.
It's official. Yep, it's official. We've locked in the Midwest Heritage Champion, Paulie Tomaselli, will not be defending the title, and instead he will be teaming for the first time with his longtime tag team partner, Hardcore Craig, and challenging the SSW Tag Team Champions, and that of Joey Jet Avalon and Max Holiday for those very SSW Tag Team Championships. I don't think you get much bigger than that when it comes to a main event of an SSW show. I know we haven't had the Tag Team Championships defended in the main event for a while, and I felt that what better match to do it.
Oh, that is great. I think Joey Avalon and Max Holiday are in trouble. Them two are hard-hitting together at
hardcore and impactful.
Yes, exactly. That's going to be great. I'm looking forward to calling that one.
Yeah, well, make sure to tell all your friends about it, because I think when it comes to competitors in the Midwest, I mean, just look at those guys. I mean, all 4 of them are highly decorated. I mean, Paulie and Hardcore Craig have been champions in multiple promotions, and not just as tag team champions, but and Joey Avalon and Max Holiday as well. I mean, when it comes to 4 competitors in the Midwest, you don't get any better than those 4, and I can say that without hesitation. And anybody wants to challenge me on it, feel free.
That sounds like a threat.
Well, it was. As much as one through a webcam on the internet can possibly be, that's for sure. So, anyways,
bring it, nerds! Bring it, nerds!
Yeah, keyboard commandos. Anyways, without further ado, Ryan Young, we're going to wrap this up. Where can we find you on the web?
YouTube.com/RB Enterprises for Ringside Report. This month, actually, to close it out, it was actually Suicide Prevention Month. So Ringside Report's looking back at some of the wrestlers that took their own life and their history, not only what happened, but also their careers. And that's also covering Chris Benoit as well. So if you guys want a chance to learn some history about that, I wanted to let everyone know about not only what happened, how they took their life, but their careers as well, because sometimes that's overshadowed.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's as somber as that would be. I mean, that is a pretty interesting thing the story to be told for sure. All right, Devin, how about you? Where can we look you up?
Well, I'm on Match.com, and you can find me on Facebook. Devin Diamond. I'm not going to spell it because it should be right there. But I think I might have a MySpace page floating around somewhere too.
That would not be surprised. So,
But you can also, check out SSWOnline.com too. There's some very unflattering pictures of me on there.
that's my All righty. Well, anyways, I just want to thank you guys for tuning into this episode. I want to thank Devin Diamond and Ryan Young for joining me. And, of course, I want to thank anybody and everybody that tuned into this. And as for those of you that watched live, if you feel like going back and watching the second episode of SSW Online Live, it will be available on our YouTube channel. And the plan is tentatively that over the next coming weeks, we will probably do a director's cut with improved video quality of matches because, unfortunately, we're limited to what the service allows at this point in time. So keep an eye out for that. And again, I'm RJ Daniels, the owner of SSW Entertainment. And on behalf of Devin Diamond, and
Make sure to have your pet spayed or neutered.
And Ryan Young.
The Packers lost.
I DVR'd it. You spoiled it.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I hate when people do that.
Anyways, moving on. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you next time on SSW Online Live.
Bye, everybody.